What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Touchdown with Doug Smith. Here with my co-host, Mike Williams. Mike, how you doing today, man?
Man, I'm doing well. Love this draft series we got going on.
Man, it is fun, folks. Guys, hit that subscribe button because you're going to want to get a lot more content like this. Today, we're going to talk about our NFC North draft grades. So each of the four teams in the NFC North, we're talking about every single one of their draft grades. So if you're a Bears fan, you want to know how Detroit did, you're going to want to take and watch this video. Hit that subscribe button. Comment below if you agree, disagree. We're not covering UDFAs, guys. We're only taking and covering the people who were drafted today, okay? Let's go and let's kick it off with the Chicago Bears. Man, look, I'm a Dolphins fan. My guy Mike over here, just next to me, is a huge Broncos fan. We gotta recognize what Chicago's doing. They had a massive draft, and even their UDFAs. And we're not talking about it today, but even that is amazing in itself. But let's kick it off. Darnell Wright. Some people said that was a bit of a reach, that he might have been available in the second round. Get your guy. Tennessee was one of the most successful programs in college football, but one of the people who kept Hendon Hooker upright and for him to make the target throws that he needed was Darnell Wright. So, man, get your guy. I love this pick. I didn't think it was too much of a reach at the end of the first round, maybe, but get your guy. Gervon Dexter, D tackle, Florida. This guy is great at stopping the run. He's going to be so necessary for the Chicago Bears. Then you got Tyreek Stevenson, cornerback, Miami. Zach Pickens, D-tackle, South Carolina. Roshan Johnson, running back, Texas. Now, this is the backup to Bijan Robinson. But the few times he got the ball, was very, very successful. Almost reminds me when you had a Derrick Henry, and a Kenyon Drake, right? It's almost that type of relationship. So think that this guy is very, very talented. He's not Bijan Robinson, but he's going to ball out for you. Then we got a friend of the show, Tyler Scott, fourth-round pick out of University of Cincinnati. We've interviewed him on the show. Check out our interview with him. I had a little bit of mic problems. So sorry, that was my bad. I was using the audio from my laptop than my professional grade mic here. But Tyler is awesome. This literally one of the nicest guys I've ever met. But don't get it twisted by his friendliness and his big old smile, because he will put up big-time plays on you. This guy is so necessary for the Chicago Bears. I see him within the next year or two being a huge target for Justin Fields. Then you got Noah Sewell. I thought Noah Sewell was going to go over to Detroit where his brother's at. But inside linebacker, Oregon, he slid a little bit. I saw him going in the fourth or third maybe. That's a great pickup. Then you got Terrell Smith, cornerback, Minnesota. Travis Bell, D-line, Kennesaw State. I always love those small school guys who ball out and go to a great franchise like this. And then the last pick, they got Kendall Williamson, safety out of Stanford. That guy could hit the crap out of people. Very good player. Mike, where do you got him at? The website. Oh, and by the way, folks, we're referencing a website, msn.com. Check out the article. It's all the draft grades for all the teams. They gave him an A. I'm going to take and give him an A-. Thought they could have got a few better players here, and Chicago historically isn't the best for recognizing talent. I think they do okay. They're like a middle of the pack team, but I give them an A-. I love what they did, and this team got so much better. Mike, what you got?
Man, I'm gonna give them an A+. I think I like their draft. After the Eagles, I thought they had the best draft. Darnell Wright was the best pure right tackle in the draft. There were some better left tackles, some guys that they're like they could play tackle, they could play guard. He was the best right tackle, and that was an issue that they had last year. They got that fixed. I'm a big fan of that. Gervon Dexter, Zach Pickens, those hurt my heart because those are two picks that I mocked to the Broncos several times. Like one of those two at least, man, and they end up taking both of them, but they got that interior fix in addition to getting Tremaine Edmonds behind them, from the Bills this offseason. Their run is going to be fortified. Tyreek Stevenson is an athlete. Transferred from Georgia to Miami, came to Miami, balled out at Miami, man, with 4.46, real physical corner. Tyler Scott, I love, obviously, friend of the show, Speed Demon, and Noah Sewell. So I feel like they got a lot of guys that are going to be impact players immediately, and not too many teams can say that. They legitimately, their first four picks are going to be starters, and I feel like they added a couple guys in the later rounds that are going to be starters in the future. So I absolutely love their draft, the second best draft, in my opinion, besides the Eagles.
I love it. You got A+. Article says A. I get A-. I love it. I love it. Yeah, no, Justin Fields is one of those guys, man. You surround him with talent, man. This ain't a fantasy football show, but if you play fantasy football, I would get Justin Fields this year. I'd pick him up and maybe as the second and third round. All right, man. So that's Chicago right there. Then we take it over to Detroit. Detroit is changing the culture. They got good players now, and they barely missed the playoffs last year. Mike, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they make the playoffs this year. But let's see about the picks they got. They got Jahmyr Gibbs, Alabama, Jack Campbell, Iowa. Oof, man, stop there, man. That's just like, that's good. I like that. Then we went back to back with Iowa. They got Sam Laporta, tight end, Iowa. Very, very good tight end. He could do it all. Block. He gets pretty good separation. Bigger guy. Reminds me of Mark Andrews a little bit. Brian Branch, safety, Alabama. Hendon Hooker, quarterback, Tennessee. Broderick Martin, D tackle, Western Kentucky. Colby Sourcedahl, offensive tackle, William and Mary. That guy's pretty good, man. I mean, I know it's a smaller school, man, but if you want to be successful in the league, look at Bill Belichick. He's getting guys from small schools all the time. So Colby Sourcedahl, I'm not going to say he's going to be a day one starter, but that's a guy to have a healthy depth. And I know that was a problem they had some years ago. They're getting a lot better on that O-line too, man. Antonio Green, wide receiver, North Carolina. Now, the article gave him a B-. Mike, I don't know if I told you this. I was in an article today, I was on Facebook today going through different forums and stuff. And one guy said, F word the Detroit Lions. So I'm trying not to cuss. F the Detroit Lions. I am done with this team. 35 years wasted. Look, I know they got Hendon Hooker, and a lot of people were ticked off about that. I love it because you're planning for the future. Jared Goff ain't going to be there forever, but he's on a very team-friendly deal right now. Then you got Jahmyr Gibbs because B. John Robinson went right before him, and Jahmyr Gibbs probably wouldn't have been there at 18 potentially, though they probably could have got. But they got Jack Campbell, right? So they won in that, and that's for them to get those two players in the first round. I love it. I love it. So the article gives it a B-. I am going to take and give this team, I'm going to give a solid A-. I love what they did. Mike, where you at?
I'll give it a B+. I'm a fan of, like, if you got a guy that you really like that you know is going to make an impact, like Jahmyr Gibbs, is going to be a guy that you want to draft to fantasy football. That guy can line up in the slot, run routes. He's an absolute monster. He's a phenomenal running back, and he's probably going to step in as a rookie and be their best pass blocker as a running back, which is hard to do, especially at 5'9". But he's a dog, so I like it. Running back contract. I'm a fan of running backs. Like, get your guy, get a weapon. Jack Campbell, I thought was a bit of an overdraft. He's huge. He's 6'5", real physical, real quick. I thought it was a little bit of overdraft. I think they could have, got him a little bit later. I think they could have traded back and got him. But with that being said, it's a guy that fits that bite your kneecaps off from Dan Campbell. Hendon Hooker, all of us on the show have been big fans of him.
Yeah.
All of us are big fans of him. I think he was the third, fourth best corner or quarterback in this draft. If he didn't have the ACR tail, very likely he would have been drafted in the first round. Byron Branch is a good safety / nickel guy. Replace CJ DJ. I think that's a guy in there with CJ DJ. GJ, I believe, Chauncey Gardner. I think is going to be phenomenal in their secondary. So I do love those picks. I didn't like the second half of the draft, but I do like them getting those guys that are going to come in and absolutely contribute. So I loved it, man. I loved it overall. Would have liked to see them get another good receiver. I think Antoine Green has some development to do, but overall, solid draft.
Cool. Hey, that's fair. That's completely fair. All right, man. Then the next team that we got is the Green Bay Packers. Okay, unless you've been living underneath a rock, Aaron Rodgers ain't there no more. They finally, after, what was it, Mike? 3 months, 2 months of dragging it on, they finally traded that old miserable man over to New York. But the article gives it a B+. 13th pick overall, they got Lucas Van Ness, DN Iowa. That Iowa defense was serious, man. That a lot of people got drafted from that school, man. So always good to see. I think when Iowa is doing well, college football is awesome. But we got Lucas Van Ness, DN Iowa. Luke Musgrave, tight end, Oregon State. Felt like he would have been around a little later, but that's a pretty good pickup. We got Jaden Reed, wide receiver, Michigan State. Tucker Kraft, tight end. So he went 2 tight ends in this draft. You took both of them off the board, man. That's pretty good, man. They're going to land on at least one of these guys, right? South Dakota State. Colby Wooden, D tackle, Auburn. Sean Clifford, quarterback, Penn State. I like this pickup. I really do. I think Sean Clifford, man, I watched a lot of his tape, man, and he's a guy, he knows how to make plays where there are no plays. Has some legs, great arm. I like him a lot. I'm probably higher on them than most draft analysts are, but I think he's going to do pretty well in the league, man. Probably going to be a backup, but hey, if in the event Jordan Love go down, this is a guy I'd like to see what he does if he's in the spotlight. Could impress a lot of people. Then there's Dontavion Wicks, wide receiver, Virginia. Carl Brooks, DN, Bowling Green. Carl Brooks is one of those guys where you either love him or hate him, man. This is a guy who could potentially be a day one starter. I think there's some development that needs to happen, but he's a very, very good player. Anders Carlson at Auburn. Carrington Valentine, cornerback, Kentucky. That was I would probably add him as a top 10 cornerback, closer to 10. This guy is very, very good. I want to see what he does in the NFL. Lou Nichols III out of Central Michigan. Anthony Johnson Jr., Iowa State. Love that pickup. And then Grant DeBose, wide receiver, Charlotte. Man, they give him a B+. I am going to take and give them I'm going to give them a solid B. I love what they did. They reached a few times. There's a few guys I'm very curious. The Green Bay Packers, like I said about the Rams and a few other teams, the Patriots, they're very good at developing players that we have never freaking heard of, guys from small schools. So I'm very confident in some of these round 6, round 7 guys that they picked up, man. I think they're going to do pretty good. Mike, where you have them at?
I'll give them a solid B+. I like what they did. I'm a fan of giving your quarterback weapons. I think they could have added a little bit of depth on the offensive line, honestly. But other than that, Luca Van Ness was a solid pickup. Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft, those are two guys that will be in that 12 personnel on the field at the same time with Jordan Love helping them out. But the thing I love the most is having Romeo Dobbs last year, Watson last year, adding Reed this year, Jaden Reed this year, real physical possession receiver, those 3 guys on the field at the same time. If Jordan Love doesn't succeed, it's not for a lack of weapons. You got 3 receivers that are solid, a phenomenal running back, 2 running backs, actually, as a matter of fact, and you got 2 tight ends. So I think they put him in position to have a solid season, and they helped their defense out. My favorite defensive pick in this draft for them, you touched on, is Carrington Valentine, super athletic from Kentucky, a little bit physical, but I think him learning from Jair Alexander is going to do nothing but help that guy become a starter. And they're going to look up in a few years and be like, they got this guy in the 7th round. Like, what the hell was the rest of the NFL thinking? So I think they had a really solid draft, man. I think they moved on that post Aaron Rodgers, and I definitely want to give them best of luck to Jordan Love to see what he has going on.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man. Jordan Love, man, I want him to do well so bad. I really do, man, because he's been in the league for a couple years, man. He got a little bit of burn last year, so should be interesting for him. And then the last team that we're going to take and talk about today is the Minnesota Vikings. Now, they've had change of a lot of things. Now they have Brian Flores, former Miami Dolphins head coach, is now the defensive coordinator. I know he was with Pittsburgh for a year, and now he is back to a very prominent role, right? Now, MSN.com gave him a grade A, and let's see how they did. So they got Jordan Addison, 23rd overall in the first round, coming out of USC. Mekhi Blackman, cornerback, USC. I like the Mekhi Blackman pick. I think he's going to be very good. Jay Ward, safety, LSU. Jacqueline Roy, D-tackle, LSU. Jaron Hall, quarterback, BYU. And Dwayne McBride at a UAB. Dwayne is good, man. I watched some highlights from Dwayne back in, I think it was January. It was the first time I've ever heard of him. So, kind of like going to a record store, you start listening to music you never heard of before. I started watching his highlights and his stats, and that's a guy, I think it's going to be fun to watch him in rotation, man. That's he's going to contribute. Jaron Hall, I love this pick because some people say he could potentially be a starter one day. I think Kirk Cousins needs to feel very insecure. I feel like he has came and went. I don't think he deserves the right to be a starter in the NFL anymore. He's blown too many primetime areas. The article gave it an A. I like the picks they got. I'm going to take and give it a solid B-. I feel like they could have got a lot more better players, but I like the Jordan Addison pickup. I like Mekhi Blackman, but I'll say B-. Not a whole lot really stands out to me here. Mike, how about you?
Yeah, I don't know how they gave it an A. I don't. Jordan Addison, I wasn't as high on as some other people were. I think both the Tennessee receivers were better than him, in my opinion. He's a good route runner. Sweet feet, good route runner, good hands, but he's dropped a few things. Him at Pitt, in that Biletnikoff conversation. Maybe I just talked myself into him a little bit more. I think him with Jordan Jefferson or Justin Jefferson rather is going to be phenomenal. The reason I'll give this a B plus, and the reason I'll give it a B plus, I know we're not doing UDFAs, but they had two of my favorite undrafted free agents in Andre Carter and Ivan Pace Jr. from Cincinnati. Andre Carter was a guy that they said they can go in the second round. They got him undrafted, so hopefully it wasn't an injury thing or whatever. But I think if it wasn't for those two, I probably would have given him like a C plus, honestly. But because they add those two, I think that could kind of bump up what they did this weekend to a B.
I love it. I love it. That's completely fair. Yeah, it's gonna be fun to see what Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson take and do. I mean, but again, it's the quarterback, man. So I want to see come preseason time. Let's take and see what this quarterback Jaron Hall from BYU does, man. I'm really excited. I love his highlight tape. I feel like not enough people talked about him in the pre-draft process. So that's a guy I really want to see. I know they have Kellen Mond right now, and maybe he'll get an opportunity to start this year. But yeah, I think it's time to start putting on the heat. We got to get ready for life after Kirk Cousins. You know, it's just what it is. But guys, that's the end of the episode. Hit that subscribe button. Comment below. Let us know your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you hate Doug and hate Mike? Or maybe we're your best friends and you love what we got to say. We love commenting and talking back with the fans of the show. But comment below. Let us know your thoughts. Hit that bell for the alert so you know when new episodes come out. I will say January through April, this is the best place on the internet right here. Touchdown with Doug Smith for pre-draft content. And then the rest of the year, we just do a whole bunch of exclusive content for the rest of them. But comment below. Hit that subscribe button. Catch you next time on Touchdown with Doug Smith. Peace.
Turn 100 for the touchdown, king crown, gain inside, leading your town, hit you faster than the sound, bad boy throw it down, yeah I'm ill, not my will, don't cop a fill the house, listen to the roaring crowd, drop a like, comment down, Heisman all the haters mouth, superhero hit them wow, packing more action than bing boom bam pow, touchdown for the win, we live, subscribe right now.